Nick, we kind of talked about, Jawan Williams a little, or Jawan James, apologize,
Oh,
about him, you know, and those guys, a lot of guys not reporting early to early training camps and OTAs, stuff like that. Zach Ertz is another guy. He said, I'm gonna be a no-show for Eagles voluntary off season. And we learned about this over from that other stream, CBS Sports. And in the reason that I found out was it's because they're, you know, pursuing a trade for him or a release. They don't quite know. And I'll be honest, if I'm Zach Ertz, if you're looking to trade me or release me, why do I need to show up to voluntary OTAs, or off-season programs? Like, for me, it doesn't make sense. I don't think I would need to go. If you were actively looking to trade or release me, and my agent knew about that, he's in talks with you guys. So that's kind of like a slow news story from over at CBS, but one that's interesting to talk about because, like we talked about earlier, I think you're starting to see a lot of guys not wanting to go to the voluntary off-season programs, and they
yeah,
don't see the benefits. And here's the other thing: is like you have 32 strength and conditioning coordinators, and maybe they have a guy underneath them that puts these programs together to oversee 52 guys, 100 guys in the off-season, like when the training camp starts and stuff like that. And which I'm sure they're great at their job, but I'm sure these guys want to work with their own trainer that they know and who those trainers are actively personally designing plans for them to help. And I know that's what they're doing at the NFL teams level,
right.
but I think you're going to see a trend that guys aren't going to want to show up to the voluntary off season. I mean, it's already been a trend. I think it's only going to grow, and we'll see how the old whites handle that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be interesting moving forward. I think, but it makes sense if you're a guy like Zach Ertz. He's not the quarterback, right? So at the end of the day, he's not the guy that needs to be there showing up and doing the whole leadership, rah rah, like all that stuff. At the end of the day, like he's arguably their best player, and I think they're making his life kind of tough. And he's like, you know what? Let me get out of here. The NFL's more tight end heavy than ever, right? And these offenses really
Yep.
need a guy like him. So he's like, look, man, I'll go get some money on the open market. Like somebody wants me. Like fucking that, and
For sure.
they're gonna let me just kind of do my thing, right? Like, and it's got to be tough for some of these NFL players too, if I'm being honest, because it's not like they don't see other athletes, right? So to be honest, it's like, I mean, basketball, like they kind of show up for
Yeah.
a couple weeks for the training camp, and then they're off and running. And like in the off season, they're just kind of doing their thing. Like they all work out away from the facility. Like it's not a big
Yeah.
deal, and the teams look out for them. Like they let like in the NBA, the superstars will take a little time off, and like you can feel the way you want to feel about that, right? I don't love Kawhi Leonard sitting out every night, but like the reality is, if you're a football player, you're kind of looking at them like, yo, why? If I'm Zach Ertz, like I'm the guy, right? I don't
Yep.
think that's ego at all. I think he's just being realistic. He's like, look, man, I've been doing this a long time. I'd like to spend a little more time with my family. If you guys are going to be like sticklers for all this bullshit, like I'll go somewhere where they don't, I'll go somewhere player friendly. I'll go to the Cowboys. Let's see what they're
Yep.
about. I'll go to the Raiders.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'll go to a player friendly environment and, you know, so be it, right? Not to
Yeah.
mention, like, it's not like the Eagles have done a whole lot in the last few years to make him feel like, let's stay here long term.
Yeah. And the other coin to that flip is like I don't think Zach Ertz is like
Oh, hold on. We lost Scott for a second. No worries. Let me bring him back.
them.
All right, I got you back. You're
And
good.
yep, awesome. Yeah, like Zach Ertz, he's not going to be that guy that is like the end all be all for the Eagles. So they brought some guys in, but yeah, let's move Zach Ertz. I'm fine with him not showing up. I don't think it's a big issue at all. And then if you trade him, release him, make a decision so he knows. And then if you aren't going to trade him or release him, my guess is he'll probably show up. But also he probably wasn't going to show up to the voluntary off-season program anyways because, like you said, been in the league a few years. Like he understands the game. And is this even a headline if they're not talking about trading him or releasing him and he just didn't show up? No, because a lot of guys don't show up as we've learned.